Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Thanks for joining myself, Richie, and Tom in discussing this week's Stadia topics. On this week's show, we cover potential Stadia studios, Google gearing up for VR, popping the big question, and much, much more. So without further delay, on to the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this week's show. This is episode 6 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. We hope you all had a great week with plenty of gaming and you didn't get too frightened over Halloween. I'd like to welcome again my co-host this week. So welcoming back our techie teacher himself, Mr. Tom.
Yo.
And also in the chat, the man of many pixels who did play an Amiga once, Richie.
Hello there.
Hello. So, to start off this week, I think, Mr. Thomas, you'd actually like to fill us all in on a bit of information that happened to you this week.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Chris.
No idea. So, he's off the table, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, sorry,
you had your chances.
So, do you want to fill us in a bit more, Tom?
Yeah, so...
What happened? What did you get up to this week?
So, in the UK at the moment, school is out. We've got our half-term holidays for like the October period. Just to break up school between like starting in September and finishing for Christmas. Went away with my girlfriend for the time to Disneyland Paris because she loves Disney and all of that sort of stuff. And I've come back and I no longer have a girlfriend anymore.
He lost her. She got rid of him. She decided to stay in Disneyland.
Yeah.
I'm sure many women would choose that option if they had the choice. Not because of you, Tom, specifically because the power of Disney is clearly too much.
No,
so no, you didn't lose her. You didn't lose her.
No. I did the age-old-fashioned thing of getting down on one knee and proposing. So I am now officially engaged. So
congratulations
to Tom.
Congratulations, and to Holly as well.
Thank you.
Shout out to Holly, who's put up with him for so long.
Yeah,
and is committed to put him for a little bit longer. It's all great. So yes, congratulations. Thank you I don't know why I said thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. It's about time.
Thank you.
Thank you on Holly's behalf. I'm sure she's been planning it for some time. So to detour, so from Disney, I suppose, we'll go back to starting this week just by thanking all of our listeners out there who've been tuning in and watching week's episodes on YouTube. So massive thank you. We do appreciate every one of you. So if you're new to the show, remember you can find all of our activities over on Twitter at Sounds of Stadia, where we keep you posted on all of our updates and episode times and the links to where they'll be dropping. We are available on all podcast platforms that are the popular ones, as far as I'm aware. Let us know if there's one that you listen to that we're not available on, and we'll try and fix that. But we are on YouTube as well, so you can just search for Sounds of Stadia on YouTube and find us. Right, so let's think. So we'll jump into the good old segment of What's Stadia this week.
Okay.
So mental state, Tom, yours has probably been a week of elation. You've been off on holiday all over the place. Richie, what condition are you in?
I'm not as rough as I was expecting to be.
All right, excellent. So you're feeling fresh then on a Sunday.
I wouldn't call it fresh, but I'm here.
You're alive. So I think we'll go from last week. We'll stay in the north, but we'll head over to the mighty northeast on What's Stadia. We'll
Best
head
part
to
of any
across
country, the northeast.
It is indeed the northeast. Is fantastic. Sorry, Tom. Shame. So we'll head over to the coast to the Big Apple.
Hey,
So
NYC.
New York, yeah, exactly. New York, the city that never sleeps. Home to my boys in blue, which is NYCFC, which is a long name, but yeah, I thought I'd wear the top, if you can see it on there, just for this morning to represent.
Chris, they can't see us.
They can see you.
Tom can see you.
You guys can. They can validate that I am in fact wearing a New York City football
listeners.
top.
Chris is.
I am. I've got all their jerseys actually from the first season. So they just missed out on the cup this year, but they had a fantastic season nonetheless under Dom, who was their manager at the good old Yankee Stadium, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's one of the best stadiums in the world. So to give you a couple of facts to lay down, I've got a good twist this week, which is actually going to link it back into games because I was cautious of just randomly giving geography lessons week on week. So a few facts for you really quick. There are over 8 million people who live there. And to go back to our bear fact last week, in New York, not in New York. It's that densely populated that one in every 38 people in the United States call it their home. The population's that huge that 1 in 38 people are from New York.
incredible.
It's a lot of people condensed on a very small island. How do they not get busy? So on top of that as well, they have got the Federal Bank, which has got more gold than anywhere else in the world. Actual gold, not oil.
Real gold.
Controversial, real gold. And then finally, the very first US pizzeria opened there in 1895.
Fantastic.
US pizza. I'm sure Italians had it well before that.
Should the Italians be pleased with it? Yeah.
But they do have a very good way of keeping the price down. So apparently the price is supposedly matches up with a subway journey.
Okay.
It keeps it with that inflation. So as long as you can ride the subway, you can get a slice of pizza pie at the same time.
I gotta say, it's been a long time since I was in New York. I went there in like the early 2000s and absolutely loved it while I was there. I never had the chance to try the pizza. Never had the chance.
Well,
we
I've
made
never
the
been,
mistake.
so I've always wanted to go.
New York's
Yeah,
amazing. I've been a
it's
few
incredible.
times. If you're into like just awe-inspiring architecture, it's certainly one for that. Obviously, we've all seen it in the movies. It plays a big part in pop culture and cinema and Hollywood. But yeah, for me, the pizza, we made this mistake of ordering an entire pizza, but in New York, they do by the slice. However, yeah, a couple of naive Englishmen go over, and we just wanted the whole pizza. Even the guy behind the counter tried to stop us from ordering a whole pizza because the size of it was like a table when it came out. We didn't eat it all. We felt really guilty.
Yeah,
But
I don't
yeah,
see
we
how
should have
that's a
stopped.
problem,
Like,
to be honest.
it
No,
wasn't,
but-
but when we only managed a couple of the way through it and immediately regretted it. Yeah, they're
You
so
live and
big.
learn.
They're not even like the slices you can carry with you because they're so big. You need like a pallet just to carry them. So either way, lesson learned. Yeah, do it by the slice. If you're hungry, you can always go back to more. But in line with New York and the podcast in itself, I wanted to throw it out to you guys to create a bit of a competition around this segment every week.
Okay.
Ooh,
I know,
okay.
interesting. So you don't know, but in games, I'd like you get a turn each, and what I'd like you to do is rattle your heads around and tell me. Tom, you can go first.
Okay.
Just because you got engaged this week. Sorry, Richie.
Ah, you don't know I didn't get
You need
engaged.
to name a game that New York is featured in.
Okay. Easy one straight away. Marvel Spider-Man.
Marvel Spider-Man. That's one to Tom. Richie, have you got one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Spider-Man 2 from like the awful PlayStation.
All right, I can see a pattern here. You
Because
can only
I
have
can't
one
remember
from
anything
one
else.
franchise, one game from one franchise. Otherwise, we'll just go down a long list. Of Spider-Man 3,
Well,
Spider-Man Shattered
you
Dimension,
could argue
Spider-Man
that still
Into
counts because it's a different franchise. It's a
No, it's
reboot of the
Spider-Man.
franchise. It's
Spider-Man.
like decades
is the
between them.
Tom, you can veto that. Spider-Man is the franchise, regardless of what name you tack on to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it back. I'm gonna take it a little bit further back with this one. I'm pretty sure if memory serves correct, isn't NYC in Assassin's Creed 3?
Oh yes, that's one of on my list. Very well done. So not NYC as you'd picture it today.
No.
Yes, during the
Close
the war that we won't talk about because it seems that we were heavily involved. But yes, we lost that one. And yeah, Assassin's Creed 3 does in fact feature New York. Well done, Tom. You got any more in the bag, Richie? We might not make it a competition. We'll evolve this as it goes. But any more you can think of?
Struggling to be honest.
Because I struggled on the spot,
I-
but when I started looking into it, I thought, actually, yeah, there is quite a few.
I kind of want to Google it, but it feels like
that's
cheating.
That's why from
Yeah.
now on, I'm not going to tell you what state I'm going to talk about until the day, so you can't check it beforehand.
Nice.
Um,
So we basically have to say we don't have to revise all of the states
That's
every
it.
single week.
That's how we learn. And there's plenty of states to go.
You're setting the
some of
homework now.
Yes, exactly. So some of the ones I dug out, which kind of again the linking with pop culture. So Die Hard trilogy from the PS1.
Oh wow.
Remember that game?
Yeah, I can't believe you forgot
Driving
that.
with the taxi, running people over, wiping that blood off your windshield with the wipers. Kind of brutal for a PlayStation 1 game. Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
See, as soon as you start pitching, it's like, all right, yeah. An easy one, Lego Avengers.
See, I kept
Okay,
thinking
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, but it's like, no, it's inspired by, not actually set there.
That's your small caveat. Freedom Fighters on the PlayStation 2 GameCube era. Whoever remembers that. A good one I dug out, which I have a lot of love for, was Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
Okay.
They invade in the bay, don't they?
Did you guys play Prototype?
I played a little bit of Prototype, but yeah, that's also one, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, so are we happy with this? Are we happy with this game? Do you think we can bring some stuff that it's when we get to the varied states, bearing in mind we started on probably the most popular one ever. When
And
we
I
get to
sucked
like
at it.
Virginia, then you've got to try and think of it.
Trying to think of those games set in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's
and
Fallout
Utah.
in Virginia. Fallout, the new one.
Is it?
I feel like the song was West Virginia.
I think Fallout 76 might have been Virginia.
Because the trailer music was that good old classic, which I'm not going to sing.
For
But
copyright reasons.
For copyright reasons. Yeah, that's the reason why, Tom, for copyright reasons.
Yeah, it is set in West Virginia.
Oh,
Fantastic.
damn it, I've just gave that away then. There's that point.
So next week it won't be West
Next
Virginia.
week it won't be
Yeah.
West Virginia. Country Road. Nope. So, unlike the metropolis that is New York City, with all its hustle and bustle and crazy busy life, we'll take a detour towards a much quieter part of the world this week, which turns out to be the internet and all things Stadia.
Yeah.
So, Tom, do you want to get us into the busy segment of
the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka
the news?
The news.
The news.
I don't like that whisper one at the end.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of
thought I'd try it.
lingering creepy ghost. So yeah, we're very quiet on the news front this week. We've got some detailed stories which we will talk about. I think to kick things off with that, we'll look at Google have openly spoke about looking to acquire or open, I should say, create some new first-party studios in London and Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is building on to the recent announcement of the first studio in Montreal, so it's good news.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that last week, that it finally opened. So it's great news that I suppose they're scouting out more areas, more potential places to start. Do we think London and Tokyo are a good starting points?
Well,
Go on, Richie.
yes, but I kind of wish it wasn't London, because everything in the UK always seems to happen in London. There's other parts of the country.
Almost
It would be
as if
nice
it's the
for
capital.
Google. Yeah, it'd be nice for Google to actually, instead of just going London, just say we're gonna have a look around the UK a bit.
I can always see why they'd move towards that.
Oh God,
Unfortunately,
yeah, it makes
um,
sense from them, but it's like as
yeah,
someone who doesn't live in
logistically,
London.
Well,
but it is a big
Google already have an office in London, so I believe that the listings for what they're trying to do here is actually going to be based out around their London office. Same with in Tokyo as well. I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of idea. Like they're just looking. They've got where their offices are set up, and going for like advertising jobs around those sorts of centers there.
Yeah, I think I think the overarching thing is just it's great news that I know
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a few
definitely.
people in there who were skeptical about how much they're going to commit to this, and we mentioned in previous episodes that you can't create a game on a short space of time. It has to be nurtured and developed over a good couple. It has to be incubated for a couple of years basically to get your top tier quality. And we know there's one that's just opened in Montreal, so that's ticking, that's underway. I'm sure they've got loads of second party plans in the pipeline reaching out because the other console manufacturers do that quite a lot as well. I know they like to flesh out their portfolio with reaching out to other one. I think Sony in particular lean on that quite heavily to kind of fill those voids in their calendar year. So I mean, was it Until Dawn is a great one, Halloween one. Other ones, there was Detroit Become Human was one of their really good hits. I think it was Quantic Dream's best selling game ever. That certainly filled a good void back in. Was it this year or last year?
Detroit.
This summer.
Early this year, wasn't it? Like
Yeah, I
early
feel
on.
like it was like March, April time.
I was thinking it was last year because it was a PS Plus game this year, so so I wouldn't have thought it's rare it comes out like that quickly on PS Plus.
It's one
Time
of them
passes by
blurred
so
things.
quickly.
Well, it really does. It really does. You'll be married before you know it, Tom.
April 2018, so it was last
Oh
year.
wow!
Wow. Okay, that's a surprise then. That makes more sense. Yeah. But yeah, so these are great kind of filler games. So I hope that yes, they are opening the London and Tokyo studios, which, as we know, they're going to have to incubate some stuff for quite a bit of time. So we probably won't see anything from them in particular until 2022, maybe. I'd guess at the earliest.
I kind of like the going global with this because different countries bring different things to the gaming industry, and obviously like London and Montreal and Tokyo are all big hubs for the gaming industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, get more studios, Google.
There's definitely a lot of talent. I think that can easily recruit local, but I suppose a good point for going for those hubs in Tokyo and London and such is that you could be able to attract with that Google money from the milk cow, whatever it was, whatever it was last week.
Cash milk.
The cash
Or was it
cow.
cash milk from that
With the
Google
money
cow?
milk.
Yeah, the mini milks that can attract serious talent, and I think we've seen from a few of the studios there's some big names moving over. We still don't know what's happening with Sean Layden either, so we've not got an update on that, even though we're several weeks detached from that story now. There's some big names out there, and I think there's a lot of collaboration which could happen. I mean, if we just look at recent games that have came out, or coming out, I should say, Death Stranding from Kojima is out this week, and we did get some news that it's also going to be available on PC, which I've seen a lot of fervor around the internet this week. It was a surprise, and that's led to many a forum popping up, inquiring as to if it's going to be arriving on Stadia. What do we think about that? Do you think it could creep its way? Norman Reedus make an appearance on Stadia?
I think again, it's one of these games that would be quite healthy for the launch of Stadia. But the reviews initially have been a little bit mixed, shall we say? But then again, anything coming out of Hideo Kojima's crazy lab is always going to be, there's going to be the diehard fans who absolutely love it and eat it up, or there's going to be the people who say, "What the hell is this?" Especially when it's supposed to be completely new. I mean, he said it's meant to create its own genre, but if it comes to Stadia, hell, I'll play it.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing. There's a great platform. My kind of take on this is it wouldn't come anytime soon. I think obviously Sony helped publish it. They helped develop it a lot. They used the Decima engine, which is from Guerrilla Studios. So they literally gave him their entire codex for, no pun intended with codex, for their entire infrastructure of the engine, which has allowed him to kind of churn this game out in realistically about 3 years, which is ironically, when we talk about incubating games and taking the time to produce top quality, he's managed to turn that round from leaving Konami to pretty much straight away. He's got a game out in what seems like a matter of time.
Yeah.
Which is scary. So yeah, I can't see it come to Stadia yet, but with this PC deal, it definitely muddies the water for. It's not so exclusive now, and it's a bit of an ambiguous term because the studio was kind of support with Sony, but he's always said he's going to be independent. He's not just jumped in with them straight away. Because I think after everything that did go on at Konami, no doubt he does want that bit of independence. He doesn't want anyone from higher or above telling him his direction, because clearly he's a man with many thoughts going around his head. If the games are anything to look at. So what do we think? Do you think it would come to Stadia in a few years' time, maybe?
Quite possibly. I think again, as I said, it's one of these ones that I'd like to see games by independent producers like Kojima coming to Stadia, because again, these sorts of titles, they're very unique, they're very fleshed out as well, and I find them really, like, the story, the world that are actually generated as part of it is just really sort of immersive. And I think again, with something like that, like with the Metal Gear Solid titles, for example, you can't sit down and binge the entire game. It's not one of those games where you can just sort of like pick it up for a bit. But if I could pick it up and have it on the go and just sort of like say, right, I've got to leave, but I'm still sort of, in between doing something right now, grab my Pixel, grab my phone, just load it up again and carry on. Cool, brilliant. But yeah, I'd love to see it there.
It's quite intriguing. I know you mentioned there, Tom, about it being a different genre, this Strand genre, and it's very much going to tie in with a social aspect. And from what I've heard so far of the Death Stranding previews, is that other people can exist within your world, and they're able to help build and craft items. So, for example, if you had certain materials to build a bridge over a crossing of a canyon, you could do so much of the work, and someone else could join your world and understand that you've got a mutual goal to get across this canyon. So basically, they can help attribute to that, and over time, there's something to do with that. It's not. I think it's called Matterfall or Deathfall or something.
Yeah.
Basically, the rain erases it away, like as all time erodes all things. It will eventually get rid of it. So I could see that lending itself quite well to Stadia, just purely on the basis of that multi-server platform where it could have infinite users. So maybe it's not Death Stranding in particular, but I could see someone like Kojima looking at that potential of cloud gaming and kind of just seeing it's that kind of big goal picture, which I'm sure he's thought about once or twice.
And he's such an innovator as well with what he wants to do. Like, he's always pushing boundaries. So if you give someone like Kojima the tools that Google have, then you could see some pretty crazy stuff coming up, because as I said, he's always pushing those boundaries. So to be able to see what he could do with that technology again would be sort of like mind blowing, really.
Interesting. But yeah, so to bring it back around, obviously, I don't think he'll be anytime soon, but he is independent, and I'm sure Google are out there looking to acquire more talent to help them out with second-party acquisitions, because we've got a few years to go. So I think that moves us on to the next story we've got in the news, which is, I think you put this one in, Richie, potentially. So Stadia to allow free name changes.
Yeah, this was a story I came across. It was on PCGames.com, and basically Google is saying that you can change your name on Stadia to whatever you like. However, the only caveat is it's if the ID isn't already taken. What are your thoughts on that? Because it feels to me flawed.
Fair.
Well,
Why
I think
flawed?
it's
People sitting on the names, or
yeah. I mean, literally that's it. People will be sitting on these names. Bear in mind, Stadia base is free, so you could literally
true.
just make loads of accounts and sit on the names. And it feels like just having it as a display name independent to your account ID would work better, because that's what you have on Steam and other platforms, where you have your account ID and then just a display name. It's
That's a
completely
really
Yeah.
good
separate.
point. That's a really good point. I think the idea of, as you've said, it's very abusable, isn't it? This sort of system of like, right, if the IDs are free and you can just create like 10, 15 accounts and just take up loads of names, you can just sit on them. I mean, I know when with PlayStation Plus, well, with PSN and so on, that when they finally allowed us to change our IDs, the ID I wanted was taken, but the guy who has it hasn't been online for like seven years or so, and you're going to get to a point where there are going to be people again sitting on IDs and never using them, which is really disappointing. The other thing I can see it being, sorry, go on.
I actually have that issue at the moment with Twitch, because if you remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about what we're going to use for our Stadia IDs.
Sappy
I
Wag 65.
Yeah, I decided I wanted to sync mine up with my Twitter to use the same thing. So I was going through things like my PSN and things like Twitch to try and change the name. There's someone who's got my the Twitch ID that I want to match up with my Twitter, and from what I can tell, they've never even logged in.
Yeah.
It's just sat there.
But I think that also extends to some celebrities as well, don't you? You see people with like their ID tags where it's like the real so and so.
Yeah.
Because people have just taken their name and they're just sitting on it. And the people who run those services tend to say, well, look, yeah, okay, it's taken. We're sorry. They can't really do much about it because it's almost like first come, first serve. The other thing I was a little bit concerned about with this is like if you can just change your ID on the fly and it has no implication into like your account. I like the idea that you said before, Richie, with what Steam have. You have an ID that your account is linked to, but you can change your display name.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that actually works. But if you can just change your ID on the fly, I can see that being really abusable by people who are essentially going to be trolling people, sort of like being quite offensive online and so on, and just being like, well, you're not going to be able to track me, you're not going to be able to ban me because guess what? I've changed my ID. Screw you guys.
Yeah, I think for me, Steam's just got the right balance there. Just, yeah, I can display my name however I want it, but my ID is locked to the account. And
Yeah, I think
potentially,
that works when it's a paid system, and I think when it goes free with base, there is that risk that people could just take any. I'm sure they've got some kind of security protocol in place, but then saying that, I think I have about 10 Gmail accounts that I've set up for various different reasons over time, for free trials of things. So hopefully it won't turn into that where people just start sitting on them all and camping out. There's got to be some security contingent, you'd think.
maybe there's a way of, if someone sat on the name but they haven't logged onto the account after a certain period of time, you can kind of petition Google to kind of release that name ID or something.
I suppose on base as well, you'd actually need to buy a game, because if they've got an account with no actual purchases in it, then that's a really easy for Google. Or look, we've not even spent any money. You've got like maybe it's a year or 2 years until it becomes deactivated.
Yeah.
And it happens with most technology eventually where it does shut down. So I think the reason they've got out and ahead of this early is because of the whole PSN fiasco. And I know Microsoft and Xbox allow you to change your name quite easily. I'm not sure how easy it is to do it with Nintendo.
Isn't Microsoft a paid service though? If it's a paid service, I wouldn't say it's easy.
It's a one-time free transfer, and then
Yeah.
after that you have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
things like $6.99, something like that.
That sounds the same as PSN because I did actually change my PSN recently.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Did it go through easily?
It went through quite easily, but again, someone stole my account name to match up with my Twitter, so I do a slight modification to what I wanted,
Right.
which is it's just irritating.
Yeah, I can imagine. So has that had any reverse effect on? I know the biggest thing I think they said is like trophy history and stuff carrying over, but I think it was only a set limited games that it was going to affect, and yeah, I don't know. I know that I think there was just a big worry that everything was going to explode once people started changing their names.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Sony were probably being a bit over dramatic on that, just in case.
But I think this is why Google have came out and said that you can change your ID for free, purely because they want to get ahead of this marketing campaign against name change being really difficult. And the reality is that they're kind of similar to Microsoft. They are the kings of software, and I'm sure they had the foresight, unlike Sony, to allow these changes to happen quite easily without breaking their entire internal ecosystem.
Yeah, I imagine they've looked at different models, and it could be worse. It could be the friend code situation you have with Nintendo. He's a million letter and number long string of text that is just absolute gibberish that you need to remember to tell people.
That is one thing I think Stadia is going to be absolutely at the front of the curve for with this, because I really see that there's just going to be a share link, as you would get with your phone with sharing a document or something or an image. Just there's that little share icon. You click it, you find your friends, bang, and then you're in the game together.
Well, actually, although Nintendo do get a bad reputation for the friend code situation on Switch, you can, if any friends you've got on 3DS or on Wii U, or if you sync your Twitter and you sync your Facebook, you can find friends who've also done that. So that kind of mitigates it a bit.
Yeah.
It's still a crap system.
I mean, do we all presume that Stadia is going to link up with Gmail?
Yeah,
that would seem like the logical choice.
I'd say Gmail and YouTube are going to be the obvious ones, aren't they? Really?
Well, it kind of has to, especially YouTube, considering how they said, "Oh, if you're watching YouTube video, you can just click and jump straight in." Yeah, you kind of need to have that sync up.
That would be paired. So I'd imagine your Gmail account is essentially going to be similar to your username, like you said with Steam there, Richie, and then your display name is going to be your Stadia name, which is what we're going to choose. That's what I would read into it anyway.
Again, internally, I think Google will have thought this through. It won't just be as like surface level as we're reading it at the moment. I know there's obviously the two systems. Steam do it a really good way. Let's hope they follow that sort of ideology instead of the way that Microsoft and Sony deal with it. But I like the idea of being able to change it for free. That's cool. But yeah, let's just make sure that people aren't going to abuse it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Brilliant. So that takes on to the next story then. We've got, there was an update came out on Engadget.com, which was that Google Chrome have updated their browser to support VR.
Nice.
So everyone's got on the bandwagon of VR, I think, over the last couple of years, whether it be mobile devices or consoles. But obviously that'll start off on the PC front, I think, as well. So it's a very interesting little tidbit, I think, that Chrome is going to be supported, because we all know Stadia on laptops and such is going to be launched from a Chrome browser. Do we think this pertains to Stadia VR support down the line?
I hope so.
Considering the timing, I'd imagine so, because Google have Google Cardboard, so they're already in the VR space in a certain degree. So it feels maybe this is quite late in the game for Cardboard. So, and with it so close to Stadia launch, it feels like maybe it's something they're considering. It's like, well, we'll just upgrade it. Maybe they're considering maybe their own peripherals or use with people's peripherals.
Yeah, I mean, so to give you two a bit more context from the mobile front, Google Cardboard was launched as basically a grassroots way of allowing anyone to use VR, anyone who had a mobile phone. A lot of the devices were literal rudimental cardboard structures that you could just slot your phone into, a bit of Velcro, a bit of cardboard, some special origami folding technique, and hey, you've got a VR headset in a way. But the reality is, the gyroscopes inside some of the phones, they're not quite capable of doing it. And a lot of the games were built, basically mobile games that were ported into kind of a VR existence. So it's great for what it was. The concept was essentially like children in classrooms and stuff could use them for educational purposes. And pretty much anyone who had a small phone could utilize it. They do have another one which launched with, I believe it was the Pixel 1, which was Google Daydream. And that had a specific headset designed for Pixel exclusivity. And it came with a Bluetooth pairing controller, which was kind of like a little remote control. And the games on that were a marginal step up from the cardboard one. Very similar to what Samsung were doing with their Gear VR, which was very much a slot. You would put your phone in the front, but the games would be designed to run off the Pixel's processing power. So it was kind of designed specifically for that. They had a good partnership with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them when that movie came out.
Okay.
I remember playing it, and your control in your hand essentially became your wand, and you had to go into the suitcase from the movie, and you had to feed all the beasts or interact with them in some special VR world. But one of the really good things that I enjoyed doing it, you can actually you can go into a studio, a virtual kind of flat apartment as it was, and you could watch YouTube videos on the big screen TV. So as though you were sat in your own living room watching YouTube channels, but you could either do it in a theater or your living room, or you could sit in the garden and watch it. And again, it has its benefits, but they were never full games. They were more just small experiences. So I'm hoping that tying it in with Stadia and using the power of these servers where all the processing power is being done from the other end, that means your phone isn't going to overheat. It's not going to drain the battery tenfold. And hopefully we're going to see a slightly higher tier of games coming to it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Go on.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say that's what I sort of thought about when I saw this news article. I was thinking maybe like pushing it out to Chrome browser as well with Stadia, like the two technologies hand in hand, makes it a lot more accessible, like the VR tech to people who can't afford like technologies like the HTC Vive, the Oculus, and so on there. So if you can do it with your phone, but it's a little bit less reliant on the phone's processing power, like you say, Chris, then again, we're looking at something that could possibly revolutionize and make it a lot more accessible to the general public as opposed to enthusiasts of VR instead.
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting. This might be their way of getting other VR developers on board. Like, yeah, you can now do it on Stadia via Chrome because we've upgraded it.
Yeah, it seems like a really simple way of utilizing it. What are your takes on VR? What are your interactions with it so far?
Before go ahead, it's interesting you mentioned Daydream because Google's discontinuing Daydream and it won't be on Pixel 4.
Oh well, it's clearly because they've moved to a Chrome browser, Richie, which is
This is why I'm thinking, are they looking to get the hardware developers for VR in board rather than doing it themselves?
Yeah, I don't think they'll turn away from it because it's one of those things. VR's not done as well as I think everyone anticipated a few years back. However, it's still potentially a new area of the market, which is only going to get better with screen fidelity and wirelessness. I think the new Oculus, is it Edge or Rift, I want to say, or Quest? Is it Quest? Oculus Quest?
Quest, the wireless
one? Yeah.
That looks awesome.
So exactly. So now we're getting to this point in technology where we're on the tipping point of things can be really, really fast. There's no latency. The fidelity of the screen's fantastic, but no wires. That's when I think VR starts to become really interesting, and you end up playing games outside of the house, and you're in the middle of a field, and you don't know where you are. But in your mind, you're on the middle of this alien barren planet, exploring whatever it may be. But in terms of VR, Tom, what's your interactions with VR to date been?
Okay, first experience with VR was with the HTC Vive. I haven't actually touched the Oculus, so I'm not really sure how it compares. But the Vive I played with when it first came out, absolutely loved it. I did one of the test simulations on Steam where you can basically go into a lift up into a high-rise building, walk out onto a plank of wood to ring a bell, and then you sort of have to jump off the building. But it was really immersive. It made you sort of really feel like that sense of vertigo in a way. Moving on from that, I actually went and experienced The Void, which is down in Stratford in London, at the Westfield Shopping Centre there, and did a full immersive Star Wars related virtual reality experience with wireless virtual reality experience using equipment. So we had a little bit of a haptic feedback vest. We had a prop gun as well. And essentially you were playing a rebel spy who was pretending to be a stormtrooper invading an Imperial base. And you had to physically move between different rooms where there were buttons and levers and things like that to progress the story. and that was one of the most fun things I have ever done.
That sounds incredible.
It is really, really good.
Yeah.
Are these the ones where the real life room is mapped out in the VR? So you think you're walking right down a corridor on a ship, but actually it's just probably a wooden basic
so
setup.
they actually show you like after where you've been through as well, and it's essentially it's just solid grey, like dark grey walls. They're just plain. There's nothing on them. There's perhaps a lever or a button that you have to press.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there. There's no like, it's not decorated. It's just solid grey walls.
Yeah.
I know the Star Wars experience is finished now, but they're running an Avengers type experience there now instead. So get yourselves down to London, guys, and try it out at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where was our invite for that? I'd have done that. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So VR, fantastic. So yeah, sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for that. What about you, Richie? What VR have you partaken?
My experience with VR is very limited. I've used like weird, like cheap headsets for fun, and it's all the problems that you explained: battery overheating, like using terrible
you get
controllers.
Text like halfway through.
Yeah, you'll be playing a crap game, just like trying to figure out how to play it, and then you'll just see a WhatsApp message.
Face vibrates,
Yeah, so it's all that sort of things. Other than that, I've played a bit of PSVR, actually, round yours, Chris.
Yeah, so that's
bit of Beat Saber, job simulators, that sort of stuff, but a couple of hours, no more.
Yeah, I think the potential's huge. I was very on the fence when it launched, the PlayStation VR in particular. But once it got a bit of a price cut, and I think it was about 2 years ago, all these really good games start coming out at a kind of really good spike in quality and review scores. So I jumped in. So some of them, the Playroom VR was the initial one, which was, I think it's PlayStation Japan who make it. They did one with the little Astrobots, which are those cute little robot things, and it was very much like a new take on the old school platformer, where you were within the world. So think Mario 64, but you can actually look down and Mario's at your feet, and you still control Mario and you collect all the coins and you figure out the little puzzles, but you move around in that world almost like an all-seeing god overlooking them. It was just really, really colourful, really, really pretty and fun to kind of engage in these puzzles where I had to actually use my own head to tip and duck in and out of tasks while the little character, the little robot, actually moved around within that world. So that was a really good one. A lot of the horror ones I know are quite jump scary in VR in particular, because you've got that kind of all senses surrounded by noises, and anything that jumps out at you is extra scary. Because obviously we had Resident Evil 7 as well, which they've not really gone back to. So I'm hoping, again, this is the thing with VR. Every studio seems to want to kind of dip their toes in and test it out, but that level of consistency still doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, I think developers are kind of just, it almost feels like they're not sure how to best utilize the technology, so they're kind of just playing with it a bit and see just putting things out there and see what happens. So things like giving Resident Evil 7 a VR mode, giving like Skyrim and Fallout VR modes, these are like things that already exist or were coming out, and let's add VR to it and see if it works.
Yeah, I think they're all intrigued by the VR space, but they always seem to put their kind of secondary studio on it to kind of port something or look at it. Whereas the stuff built from the ground up, like I said, the Astrobot one, Moss is apparently fantastic, which is one I'm looking to check out, which is very similar, where you play as, I think you've got a little mouse named Quill, and you run through like kind of like, I think it's a fairy tale world or a book story or something, but you are immersed within that world. I know Batman VR got quite a lot from Rocksteady. That got quite a lot of praise early doors, but again, it's been.
Isn't
we don't know
one
knows.
VR coming out?
Yeah, that's kind of. I was going to move on to that. That's the next kind of flagpole one they've got in. It's full price as well. You're talking about £45 for that, which, in my mind, VR's always needs to be that little bit cheaper at the moment. I don't think they've hit that level where I'm willing to pay full price for it, which is a problem, because if I'm not in that mindset, what's your average Joe on the street who doesn't have a VR headset thinking?
I think one problem VR is always going to have, and it's the same thing any other generations, any different tech comes out, is when you have to buy an additional peripheral to play games, it's an extra cost, and a lot of people aren't willing to pay it.
Yeah.
So I actually think VR's done better than I would have expected, because there's been a lot of people interested, so there's been a lot of people actually invest into it. This is why actually I think the Oculus Quest is such a cool idea, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it actually needs like any like powerful like PC hardware or anything. Isn't it just?
It's all run internally,
yeah,
which is crazy.
I think that's the way a lot of it's going at the moment as well, is they're looking to try and take it away and detach it from the PC. and put it into the equipment itself. So I know with the new HTC Vive Cosmos as well, which is sort of like the Oculus Quest, the HTC version of the Oculus Quest, they've now taken out with the Vive, they had like the little sensors you had to position in corners around the room. The Cosmos, which is their latest version, is now the sensors are built into the headset as well. So same sort of principle. Get rid of those stupid sensors you have to put around the room. Now the cameras are actually in the headset, so it can detect much more accurately. Because if you're like 2 centimeters away from a wall, at least the camera can physically see that distance if it's on your face, rather than a sensor up in the corner of the room.
It's like car park sensors. Essentially, it's going to know where its surroundings are, which makes it a lot more viable for knocking your lamp off a table or hitting your friend in the face. all being there, whether it was with a Wii remote or it was in VR. I think the potential's huge, and I think looking at the VR market, like a quick Google search to bring you back, that it's going to be estimated about $44.7 billion by 2024.
Wow,
so that's just another 5 years' time, and it's worth the money. So there's definitely interest there. And I think if Google get on board with this, the potential, because of the cloud software, could be huge, because it takes the strain off, as you said, Tom, those consoles, or all the grunt work being done within the headset. If it can all just go cloud-based, especially with the likes of 5G and stuff on the rollout now, the potential's great.
I think VR moving away from being considered just a peripheral that you play with something else to a platform on its own is always going to be a smart move. And I think this is somewhere that Google actually might have cornered the market a bit, because with Stadia, there's no actual hardware platform that you need to buy. So if they were to come out with like an Oculus Quest style headset as a one-off cost, and then you can just play it with your Stadia account.
Yeah. You just log in and you're there.
Cool. So you're not. It comes into the Stadia. Basically, like, you're not having to fork out £400, £500, £600 for a console if there's like £150 headset released at some point, and you're interested in VR, then becomes a bit more viable.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be one of those watch this space scenarios. I don't think they'll do anything first year. I think they'll test it out, because again, we're probably on the cusp of PSVR 2 is heavily rumored. Microsoft are yet to enter the game, so is the new Project Scarlet going to be tied in with VR in some way? I can't imagine they don't want in on this market.
Well, they've been toying with this with HoloLens and augmented reality for so long now.
It's kind of like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna double down and jump into this party, or are you gonna sit out the whole race? So yeah, definitely some intriguing things.
Maybe just watching the race before they commit.
Exactly.
Let other people work out the bugs.
Something's got to give. So finally, that brings on to our last piece of news this week, which is EA have hinted at exciting remasters of popular games. So has the straw finally broke the camel's back with this one, where they said for so long that it doesn't interest them doing remasters? Every year, I think the shareholder meeting comes out and says no plan to do that. Then we did get Burnout remastered, like this year. I want to say that was this year. Burnout Paradise, but not one
I wonder
for me
if that
personally.
was just testing the waters, to be honest.
May have been. Give me that Need for Speed Underground 2 remaster. The new Heat game doesn't have me interested in the slightest. So yeah, what do we think? Popular remasters. What have they got under their banner that we'd like to see, gents?
Just one word: BioWare.
Yeah,
anything BioWare.
Anything and everything BioWare. Yeah. Just bring back Mass Effect. We'll talk about, Dragon Age and so on there.
Dragon Age Origins is one of my favorite games of all time. Yeah. And 2 and 3 I didn't love. Give me Origins again, but modernize it a little bit. Don't overdo it.
And like you say, for you it's Dragon Age, and for me it is Mass Effect, like 1 and 2 in absolutely incredible games. So if I get a remaster, I've been waiting for it for this entire generation. Literally this entire generation, I've been waiting to hear like a Mass Effect trilogy box set remastered.
I'm exactly the same. It's actually on my game of shame for this week, Mass Effect, because I've never played any of them, and I just want you to bring them out for PlayStation as a box set. I don't even actually need it remastered. I prefer it to be, but if I could just buy them on PlayStation and go, like that's what I did with Uncharted, because I hadn't played the Uncharted before 4 was announced. So I literally played Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and then straight into 4, and that was a good time. That's what I want to do with Mass Effect.
Yeah, I'm the same, Richie. I never touched Mass Effect. I think I played a little bit of Mass Effect 2 on the 360 around one of my friends. and it's something that it's held in such high regard, except for the ending to 3. I want to say, is that the one that gets everyone up in arms? Tom, you got any take on that? Was it the end that
I
pissed everyone off?
It was, but it was only from the perspective that they said all of your decisions throughout the entire game would affect the ending, and then when it came to the ending, it was basically like, right, good, bad, neutral ending. That's it. Like it didn't really have that. So that's where the the gripe comes from, really.
It's a bit like
probably
Lost.
Yeah.
mismarketed rather than bad game design.
Yeah, I can see why that would annoy people. But yeah, I'm the same. Where I actually got really intrigued by Mass Effect Andromeda, when it was creeping up to launch, and I really, really thought that was the moment EA at the start of that year were going to drop the Mass Effect like kind of remaster trilogy.
Yeah.
And I was in the mindset that if they announced that, I would have bought that, played through all 3 games, and then went straight into Andromeda. But by the sounds of it, they had no interest in that, and Andromeda bombed. So
That's exactly where
BioWare
I was.
focused on other projects.
The thing is, stuff like that I think can be a great thing for like bring out on PlayStation Plus, like as a collection. Here you go, PlayStation Plus, a couple of months before to get people interested in the franchise again. Go, okay, I've just played through Mass Effect. Remember how much I love Mass Effect, or just discovering like, yeah, this is cool. I'm buying that game.
Yeah, you've got a reason to play it if there's a new one in the pipeline shortly around the corner.
Yeah.
I did that with BioShock. I think because I'd and ahed, as I mentioned the other week, that about playing about for so long that when they announced the kind of upres collection, I was sold because I knew, and that was the push I needed to finally get it. So with Mass Effect, yeah, I could go out and get them on PlayStation 3. I'd imagine I've still got it upstairs. I could go get it probably incredibly cheap. However, yeah, I'm waiting for that moment they announce a bloody trilogy so I can just jump in on the big screen TV on my current console, or Stadia, and just jump in and play it finally, and kind of get in that conversation with what everybody's been going on about for the last decade of how good these games are.
It just seems so far-fetched that EA haven't actually jumped on that bandwagon, because the Dragon Age and the Mass Effect communities are still so alive. Like they haven't fizzled out and disappeared. They're still there screaming for a new, like, for the remaster or for like a new title for it. Yes, I know we had Andromeda and so on. I mean, I picked up Andromeda months later for like £8 from the bargain bin or something like that. But for an £8 game, yeah, hell, it's good, you know. But I wouldn't have paid the amount I paid for the original trilogy for it. But if they see like the amount of people who are genuinely interested in getting these remasters, perhaps we could see some life breathed back into these franchises once again. That's what we're hoping.
I'm hoping this decision, this announcement, is kind of EA actually starting to pay a bit more attention to what fans are saying, the fans of their games are saying, and stuff like they seem to be changing their attitude towards things like loot boxes and microtransactions. I'm hoping this is part of it, actually going, well, actually, people want this. So let's give it to them.
I think they've stretched the microtransaction check balance out quite a lot, I think, over the last kind of 5-6, in fact, this entire generation. And yeah, there's only so much positive support you can get. I mean, they get voted the most hated company in America, I think, every year on the bounce. And if they really genuinely want to change that, it's things like this that I think they need to put into effect, ironically, you know.
Yeah, if they want to change the reputation, because reputations are hard to change, you've got to do something big that is purely for the fans and basically go, well, we're actually losing money on this. We're doing it for you.
Yeah. If I was them, I'd go back to being Electronic Arts. Ditch the EA moniker.
Yeah,
rebrand. Still Electronic Arts. Give me Future Cop LAPD 2.
Hey.
I want that sequel or a remaster, because that game was fantastic.
That would be a cool thing for the remasters, if when they were published under Electronic Arts, they went back to the old logo for them.
Yeah. Still Electronic Arts. I've got such good memories when that Electronic Arts thing comes up, and then I did have good memories for EA Sports. Like that kind of stuff.
In the game.
And now it's been so tainted by microtransactions and bad business practices. But in saying that, I'm totally hyped for Jedi Fallen Order. Everything I'm hearing about that game has me. I'm glad I pre-ordered it. I'm gonna get it day one. I'm gonna play the hell out of it. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan anyway, so naturally with the new movie coming out, I'm getting hyped. I'm getting in that mood. But yeah, give me a good damn Star Wars game, EA.
It's wearing me down. I didn't pre-order because I've had bad experience with EA. I've had a bad experience with EA games. I can't remember the last time I played an EA game, like start to finish, when that was a good game without going, that was a good game. However, there's this, that, and this, and that, and so I wanted to kind of wait for reviews, but it's wearing me down.
Yeah.
It's like,
I really feel like this is the one that's
Yeah.
like potentially in a very quiet year. This could get, from what I'm hearing, is it's on a lot of people's radar for Game of the Year from their previews that they've seen, because it is everything that I love. It's a story-based game in a franchise that I adore. It's third person, it's action, it's got collectibles, it's got exploratory maps, it's got some cool fighting. You get to use the Force. You're a Jedi. It's going to have the music and the atmosphere, and I'm just like, yeah, give it to me, and then I'm going to go see the movie a few weeks later. Yeah, perfect. That's winter for me. Forget
That's
Christmas.
all we need.
Star Wars. Star Wars is more Christmas.
yeah,
Give me
Star
that
Wars is more
snow
important
and
than
hot-
Christmas.
Yeah, give me that hot snow.
The one problem is, still no announcements for any games or any even hint at coming to Stadia.
It's got to be a matter of
And-
time, surely.
Well, aren't they working on Project Atlas, their own streaming service?
I'm not sure, because didn't they are returning with Jedi Fallen Order to Steam? Is it for the first
Yeah.
time? So Origins clearly hasn't done as well as they hoped.
Yeah, because no one wants it.
Yeah, I think I have Sims 4 on Origins. Is the only game I have, and I go back to it every now and again when I just want to build a house, kill some family members, and not have as much money as I'd wish.
The
But
one thing I was looking at actually over the course of the past week, because we keep talking about EA like not bringing anything to Stadia to begin with and so on. While there's nothing actually physically confirmed for like launch titles and so on, I keep going back to this image of Phil Harrison at the first Google Connect, and when they showed that splash screen of him in the back with all of the different publishers, different studios, and so on. I did see it was really small, but EA is there. It is on that image. So that they must have already talked about that. Like it must be in the works, but we just haven't heard anything. And it's if you go back and look at the picture of him, it's from that original Connect, but you can see it, and it is there. It's sort of like to the left of him, down near the bottom.
Yeah.
But
You might have to tweet that to the at Sounds of Stadia, so we can have a look.
yeah, no problem. I think I'll get
Yeah,
that sent across.
people can share it, because it's
Here we go.
it's
Okay.
too much money.
So I've got the image up in front of me. So picture of Phil Harrison. To the left of him, we've got Ubisoft, 2K, THQ Nordic, Bethesda, and then EA. It is there. And then on the right side of him, underneath Square Enix, you have EA Sports as well. So
So,
I'll send that across.
oh no, yeah, I can see it. Just click Google search for Stadia
Yeah.
partners, and it's like the second image.
Hmm.
So where are the games?
Yep.
Oh well, yeah.
Like, we've been and ahhing about this for a few weeks now, but they're a great third party to get on for whether it's sports, shooters, racing. You basically get the whole package with these guys. Similar to Ubisoft, you're going to get your Need for Speed, you're going to get your FIFAs, you're going to get your Battlefield games, you're going to get Sims, whatever it might be. But yeah, interesting. So,
Yeah, it's one of them things with VA. No matter what people think of them, they are a huge cornerstone of the gaming industry.
oh,
I
if they
want them
went,
on Stadia.
it'd be horrible, just because of
Yeah.
how much they bring and how much they support. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Maybe
stuff.
maybe
There
they'll
you
bring
go.
out the games in the Stadia Connect this month.
Well, they're running out of time.
if you're
We've got,
listening,
what,
Google.
16 days. We've got 16 days to surprise us. So
True that.
That's fine.
the great thing with it all being digital is they don't have to distribute anything. So they could literally announce it the day before, and the stuff would be on the server to go immediately. No downloads. Remember, this is the joy of Stadia.
True
Oh,
that.
sweet. So I think that brings us to the end of our news segment this week. So
Yeah.
we've managed to actually detail that.
And on
a
that
little-
note, I am gonna have to drop out and leave you guys now to do the games we've played here and the games of shame, because unfortunately I got to go out to a meal. But yeah.
And he doesn't
See that
make
he's
shame.
engaged, and he's already having to cut things short and say goodbye early. It's a downward spiral, Thomas.
It really is. It really is. So no game of shame from me this week, but I'm just shaming myself.
Just shame yourself. Yeah.
Tom is the game of shame.
Exactly.
Get out
Exactly.
of here, Tom.
I'll
Enjoy
see you
your
next
meal.
week.
I'll
Cheers.
see
you next week.
Bye. Well, thank God he's gone, right, Richard?
Yeah. Let's talk things about him.
Getting engaged. Yeah, talk
Yeah.
shit because he's not
Yeah.
here. God, have you seen his hair? What's up
I
with
know,
that?
like, and them glasses as well. What's he
Ah,
thinking?
oh, such a toffee from down south.
Oh,
That's
I'm hoping he actually listens to this. And
he's probably not even left. He's actually he might. This'll be an intriguing thing. So to see if he actually does come back and listen next week.
yeah,
If he complains about us talking shit, and if he says nothing, that's right,
we
Tom.
know.
If you say nothing next week, you don't listen to your own show. So
Shame on you.
shame on you, big shame on you.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So we've covered off the news, Richie. So we didn't
Yeah.
really have a topic of the show this week because there was not really a kind of big talking points. I think.
Yeah.
Game of Shame list. You mentioned Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's
with
basically
you.
mine, and we kind of covered it. It's like I just when it came out, it just passed me by, and just never got round to doing it. And then, as you mentioned with Andromeda, I was wanting a collection, and it didn't come.
Mm-hmm.
So I will play them games when the collection comes.
Yeah, same. I'm in the same boat. So just do it here, you cowards.
Yeah.
Just announce it, and we'll play it. Guess what? If you publish a
Yeah.
game, we'll play it. How much of an easy sell is that?
Yeah, it's like I will buy them if you bring them collections out, all free games, like I don't know, 50, 60 pounds. I'll buy it.
Well, 12 quid a game, something like that. That
Yeah.
sounds about right. So we might as well move on then, since there's only us two here, to
Well,
games we played here.
What's your shame game? Or you just going with
I'm
mine?
just gonna skip one this way. I can't really think of one.
Yeah,
I mean, Mass
fair
Effect's the same for me. I'd probably say just because to wrap up one time and try and keep it around the hour mark this week,
Yeah.
even though without very little news,
Yeah.
we somehow managed to push it up to the hour still. I just want to say what we got up to. So we did our Halloween kind of night the other week, which we mentioned on last week's show, which was basically just us messing around. We had some food and we had some friends around for a few drinks, and we played Resident Evil 2. So that was on my shaman list last week. Yeah, we jumped in, we took turns, we passed the control around, and some of us fared better than others.
Yeah.
Not saying any names.
Well, shout out to Lewis, who after Chris passed him the controller, the first thing he did was waste all of our ammo on killing a single licker. But to be fair to him, it was the first licker in the game, and it was literally the next room from where Chris left off.
Yeah, it was very aptly timed my handover.
Yeah.
I think I'd done a big chunk of the game. We'd solved a couple of puzzles. We'd got a lot of the medallions. And then, I decided I'm going to pop to the bathroom. I'll hand it over to Lewis, pass the controller down the line. And I came back and we had no ammo left. What had happened? And yeah, it took them all that to kill one clicker. But we got through it.
Clickers,
Last of Us. Yeah, clicker, licker. They do the same thing. They're blind, they have brain exposed, and they can't see shit. But take on it so far, game's gorgeous. It's got the horror tropes definitely down really, really well. Another highlight, I think, whilst Lewis was playing was in the library. One of the zombies definitely totally ghosted him, shimmied off to the side, hid behind a bookshelf. Lewis went round to find him, and he popped up behind him and got him in the neck. So don't know how that works. He must have phased through the wall or the floor or something to get around him. But quite smart, these zombies with no brains or whatever the class. Are they classed as zombies?
Yeah, I think they are.
They never really define it as a zombie, though, do they? They just
I think in like the first two games, especially, it's pretty much probably even the third game as well. Like, yeah, the normal ones are just straight up zombies.
Yeah, but no, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. I'm definitely intrigued to jump back in. I think we cleared the medallions out and we got down to the lower levels after finally finding out where the goddamn detonator was for the C4.
Yeah, we missed one corridor.
One room, one corridor, and the whole thing goes to shit. But no, really enjoyed it. I'd be more than happy to get people around and I think play a little bit more because I don't feel like I still want to play it on my own.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm. It's like, it's fun to play with other people. On your own, it's like, nah.
Yeah, it's when something jumps out and we all shit ourselves at the exact same moment. You can laugh it off a little bit easier than just sat there in the dark on your own playing it. It's a little bit scary. It's a bit more tense. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was great bit of fun. I like that tradition of playing spooky games on Halloween. It wasn't quite as childish as Luigi's Mansion, so a little bit of a different take. So have you got anything else to add this week, Richie?
No, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think that wraps us up. So we won't talk for too long without Tom here. We don't feel left out.
Yeah.
So I'll just
even though he's got shit hair and glasses.
He's got shit hair glasses. He's from the south, and he's just got engaged. So he's committed himself to someone else, clearly over us two. So
and honestly, congratulations, Tom and Holly again.
I'm serious. Yeah, congratulations, you two. couldn't imagine it happening to a happier couple. So all the best. So once again, from myself, thank you for listening. Remember, if you don't support us yet, you can do over on patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. The countdown is on. We've got 13 days to go from the point of recording. So hop over there and help on out the SOS cause. If you like to keep listening, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, many others. Enjoy your week, everyone. That's it from myself, Chris. That was Tom, but he's gone now.
Yeah.
And the shady guy with the beard is Richie.
Goodbye.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Catch you next week. Goodbye.
NYC.